First released on the original Game Boy a matter of days before this as Gekitu Power Modeler, in Japan only obviously, Power Quest was developed by the clever folks at the basically unknown Japan Supply System, who came to Game Boy relatively late on with their wonderful Chalvo 55 puzzle platformer. They're a curious little development house, coming out with an odd couple of Game Gear things in the very early 90s and the quite sought after Famicom title Pyokotan no Daimero in 1993. After that, they sort of went away for a few years. A game called Bound High was made to completion and even displayed at some trade shows for the Virtual Boy in 1996 by designer Hideyuki Nakanishi, but was completely shelved due to the failure of the console itself. This was essentially the first game in the Chalvo series, so thankfully Nakanishi-san did manage to see his vision come to fruition in one form at least. Other than that, Japan Supply System were involved in the two Chameleon Twist games on N64 and this title. A nice little bridge between the fighting and RPG genres here, with a game that didn't receive nearly enough fanfare. The JP exclusive version had next to none. Admittedly, it came out a month after the Game Boy Color itself did in Japan, so it stands to reason that it went under the radar somewhat. This is a building and training robot fighting game where the aim, as with so many of these, is to start from the ground up and become world champion. If it sounds like a Medabots clone, don't be put off, as the RPG elements in Power Quest are kind of on the light side, and you actually control your robots in legitimately good 2D fighting sequences. That's clearly the focus of the game, with the leveling up and robot augmenting side of things being almost supplementary. There are 6 robots you can choose from at the start. You don't have any money at first, but your dad will just buy you whichever one you want. They all have their strengths, a base speed, health, attack power, and so on, and of course these can all be upgraded within limits by buying extra parts. These have some bearing on the fights. Problem is, it'll take you a heck of a long time to save up for the more valuable parts. The cheapest ones are $1,000, but hardly worth your money. The ones you'll need by the end are all $50,000. Thing is, even from the hardest standard battles, you can only get a maximum of $200. Usually it's even lower than that. You're gonna have to grind with this one, I'm afraid. You usually get enough to buy one of the upgrades if you manage to win a tournament, so there's that at least. There aren't that many places to go in terms of storyline, with only 6 short chapters, so this grinding thing was most likely an artificial inflation deal. A is your strong punch, while B is a weaker but faster one. You'll jump and block using up and back respectively. The movesets are quite simple. You'll have a few combos that are usually pulled off with no more than 3 or 4 button presses, and they all vary depending on which of the robots you've chosen. Later on in the story, you can unlock special moves which are devastating for normal opponents, but downright necessary when you get to the tournament. Like I say, the fighting sequences are the best thing about the game, and they really do shine despite their simplicity and the fact that there are only 6 different robots in the game. As well as the solo story, you can even play a survival mode, whereby you fight a constant stream of battles against opponents of ever stronger levels. It doesn't have the greatest amount of longevity because of the lack of depth in terms of other robots, and they'll always come at you in the same order, but it's a good way to explore the game's actual strong point, rather than having to go through the rigmarole of the overworld stuff. The game seems really polished in both presentation and gameplay, even if the actual content is pretty thin. Could I recommend Power Quest to you? I mean, the fighting mechanic is pretty solid, and there's definitely fun to be had with it. And that's definitely more than I can say for the previous 3 or 4 Game Boy Color games we've looked at. If you dig the fighting style, then the laborious grind for new parts probably won't bother you that much. If you're after a story-driven RPG though, then this is probably not for you. As a closing comment, can I just remark on how actually amazing the soundtrack is? Stupidly good. Hey, if you don't want to check this game out, do yourself a fave, Dave, and go download the OST, would you?